This record is part of the ongoing Backroad Case Files archive and is based on collected testimonies, local observations, and subsequent verification attempts involving a farmhouse located along a rural farming road that had remained visibly abandoned for decades, sitting far enough from neighboring properties to remain largely ignored and known locally as an empty structure with no occupants, no maintenance, and no active electrical connection. Residents traveling along the road began reporting occasional lights inside the house after dark, initially dismissed as reflections or passing headlights. Yet the sightings continued under conditions where neither explanation applied, with witnesses describing a steady, warm glow appearing behind upstairs windows and remaining fixed for several minutes before extinguishing without movement, shadow, or transition. One farm worker who observed such a light returned the following morning to inspect the property and found the doors secured, the windows intact, and no visible signs of forced entry, while local records later confirmed that the power supply had been disconnected many years earlier, eliminating electrical illumination as a practical cause and prompting speculation that someone might be entering the structure without leaving traceable evidence. To evaluate this possibility, 2 residents observed the house from across the field on a night when lights had previously been reported and witnessed a faint internal glow appear behind an upstairs window and remain steady before disappearing. And when the property was examined again the next day, no footprints, refuse, equipment, or access points were found, reinforcing uncertainty about how illumination could be produced inside a sealed and unpowered space. A more direct verification was later attempted when a small group entered the farmhouse during daylight and found no lighting devices, no wiring, and no signs of recent habitation, though they did note that part of an upstairs window frame appeared slightly worn compared to surrounding surfaces, suggesting repeated movement inconsistent with long-term abandonment. Following this entry, reports of lights ceased for several months before eventually returning, at which point witnesses described the glow appearing in a different interior location rather than the previously observed window, leading some to speculate that the change occurred only after the structure had been disturbed. With practical explanations unsupported and environmental reflections failing to account for the consistency of observations, the only remaining interpretation was one that could not be verified, and the phenomenon appearing, ceasing, and later re-emerging in altered form was preserved without resolution. This case remains on record as part of Backroad Case Files. Several working explanations were considered, including unauthorized entry, environmental reflection, or temporary light sources such as lanterns, yet none were supported by physical evidence. And while the illumination originating from within the structure without a conventional source cannot be confirmed, the change in location following interior disturbance suggests a response rather than coincidence. One interpretation is that repeated entry altered internal airflow or reflective surfaces, creating conditions for intermittent light phenomena. Another that the observations represent misidentified environmental effects, coincidentally aligned with the timeline of access. And a third possibility, less easily examined, is that the phenomenon was not environmental at all. No definitive conclusion was established. If you believe a practical explanation exists, what conditions would allow light to appear inside an unpowered, sealed structure? And why would it change after the house was entered? Your interpretation may help resolve what the record could not. Additional cases remain under review. Subscribe to follow the archive.